Hi everyone and welcome to a new video. In this video I'm going to do my first interview, so I hope you guys enjoy it. Of course it's on Helium and the new Validator update. So with me is Dal from the Helium team. Dal, can you tell me something more about you? What's your role within Helium? How did you get involved? And what is your involvement with the Validator project?
Sure. Hey, Brian. Thanks for having me on, and also shout out to your community. So I've been at Helium now. This is my fourth year. I am responsible for the IoT products, and also I've been asked to help out with validators. So I'm the product lead on validators, and I originally got involved in Helium. A previous boss, who happens to be the COO now, we've had a long relationship, and he came over to Helium. He described what the company was trying to do, and really the boldness of the mission. And so that really attracted me, and I thought this was something that I really wanted to participate and be involved in, because you know you have a career, you have different opportunities, but it's very rare, I think, to have an opportunity like this to really make a big difference and do something that's never been done before.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're really building something on a global scale. So I
Yep,
can imagine that
correct,
is
100%.
challenging.
Challenging, exciting, but it's great to see that we're making very good progress, and this is thanks to our community, and probably a lot of your listeners too, Brett.
Awesome. So when it comes to validators, how did that come to mind? When did you say, like, okay, this is a solution that we need? Was it something that
Yeah,
was
this
on
is
the to-do list for a long time, or is it like recently, like, whoa, this is growing, we need to fix something?
Yeah, I mean, last year we came to the realization that the growth of the network was really exploding at the time, and it's continued to increase in velocity. So we knew that the architecture that we had set up in terms of having hotspots do this consensus group work um, was not going to scale with the network. So the network was increasing very quickly. There are certain limitations on the hardware and the network connections for gateways, and so we realized, like, this is something that we need to address.
Mm-hmm.
And last this year around January, we started rolling out the test net and starting testing validators. One thing I want to just highlight, though, this is we have been working on validators and running them in the test net since after hit 25. As I said, like June, February, I think we initially launched, early February maybe. It's been so long. But this wasn't something that we were starting from scratch. So the code that we were leveraging was code that had already been working and working
Mm-hmm.
well, just on hotspots and gateways.
Okay,
And
so
so it
it's
was
battle tested, yeah.
that's right. So for I think we've already surpassed 900,000 blocks already. So this was code that we were enhancing for specifically for validators,
Mm-hmm. And
and we took almost 6 months to make sure that everything was working correctly, and uh, for this transition.
and this is probably also why it's getting slower and slower. The whole list that you have to download in your little miner is becoming huge with all the blocks that have been processed already, I assume.
Yeah, well, so the issue is, yes, the blockchain is growing. The number of transactions is increasing as more participants join the network. And for hotspots to do the consensus group work, there's compute power needed, and there's
Mm-hmm.
network connectivity required. Now, the decision to make these gateways very affordable or accessible to anyone, this was very deliberate, right? We knew that in order for us to grow the network, we would
Mm-hmm.
have to make that accessible and make it very straightforward. Now, what we're coming up against is because the consensus group is kind of capped with the current network connectivity and the computation that you can have on a box. This is something that's really driven the decision to move to validators.
Okay, and just to give a really clear view, right now, how is the old system working? And then right after, explain how will the new system work. Then people can understand what's going on.
Okay, so currently, there is 16 hotspots that are chosen to become consensus group members. And what that means is they do consensus group work, which is they will validate transactions, they will check with their peers and verify with the peers in that consensus group, and then they'll actually build the blocks and add blocks to those blockchains. And these consensus group members, they don't stay in the consensus group forever. Some get elected, some get de-elected. So there's always kind of a transition of who's in this consensus group.
Right now, is it purely random, or is it different factors already calculated in the old system, or was it really like any hotspot has just as much chance?
It's really any hotspot, provided that it obviously it's online and it's up to date. But it's pretty much any. But those hotspots, for doing that additional work, they would get rewarded for that. And so the consensus rewards is 6%. Now, I think it's hard to keep up with the number of hotspots on the network now. I think it's over 70,000, right?
It's insane, yeah.
And so, and so the chance of your hotspot being selected out of 70,000 is very, very small and getting smaller every day, right?
So the number of people in the consensus group has always been fixed, no matter if we had 15,000 hotspots in the network or 75 like we have now. So it's basically a very nice lottery ticket that you could win. And then, just be very happy if you have it on that day. Right. That's the situation.
But it's becoming extremely unlikely that you would win. And so this is, again, one of the reasons why we've had to, in order for the network to continue growing and scaling out, we've had to move to this validator model. And so once we move to the validator model, it will be, in terms of the actual consensus group work, it will be very similar to what the hotspots are doing. Only now we have validators, which are a lot beefier machines. They have more compute power. They have stronger network connections. So it's not just, typically at home, you'll have an asymmetrical network connection. So download is pretty good, upload not so good.
Less.
But that's okay, because that's what consumers want. They want to stream Netflix. But for these validators, having that symmetrical network connection, so very strong up and down, it's very important. And so they will just continue the work of what the hotspots are doing now, and we will continue to add more validator consensus group members. So that work will get spread out. That will help make block production more consistent, consensus group times consistent, and overall really help us, again, continue to scale the network.
So basically, right now, the number of participants, currently hotspots, in a consensus group is fixed. They will change to variable and will grow along with the network. On top of that, the compute power, of course, of a $400 machine that has to do a bunch of other things is limited. I think people who have been installing hotspots, you also know that you get on locations where you don't get to choose the quality of the network. You just have to be happy that there is an internet connection. So there will be a huge improvement there as well, because you will demand from a validator that it has compute power and a really good, stable connection. This, of course, will increase the quality of the network, and on top of that, you'll make it more scalable because it's no longer fixed. But otherwise, you take the same code, the same mechanism, you have then improved it on and just expanded on what we have already. And when it comes to rewards, the situation stays the same, it just gets transferred to a new player, if I can say it, in the network, which
that's right.
is also available more or less for the community and whoever is able to participate.
Yeah, that's a great point. So anyone can participate and become a validator. They need to obviously have the technical skills and kind of the DevOps knowledge to be able to operate and run one.
Mm-hmm.
And also there is a staking amount, which is 10,000 HNT. And I know that number there's been a lot of feedback about that 10,000 HNT number.
Yeah, some people are kind of disappointed because they feel like it's not accessible. So yeah, please feel free to elaborate on that number.
Yeah, so this amount was originally chosen back in January when HIP 25, the proposal initially came out. And, at the time, obviously the market conditions were different. But the number was chosen because the team wanted to make sure that it was large enough to help ensure that only folks who were really serious about investing in validator nodes and the infrastructure needed to host them, but at the same point still be accessible to have a big enough group to meet.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was, obviously there's never a perfect number, but that was a rationale, right?
Mm-hmm.
And at the time that was proposed, it was accepted by the community, and
okay, so yeah, maybe that's a very, very important note as well, I think. So you have these HIP proposals that everybody can vote on, by the way.
That's right.
So this update with this specific number has been approved for everybody who has been actively involved in the community and took the effort to read the HIP proposal and vote on it. That's right. Okay.
That's right.
It's not a one-sided decision where you guys said, hey, 10K, we have enough 10K, let's put it on 10K. I think there's a misconception out in the community. So first of all, yeah, the number was different. I mean, I remember in the summer, I think HNT was $1. So that's a completely different situation. And even at the end of the year, we're not even looking at that $4. I remember making the video in the beginning of the year saying, it's now at $4, but we don't know how long it will stay there. And then we shot up to 20. So that's crypto.
Yeah, that's right. And I don't want to talk too much about. Well, let's just say in general, crypto markets are very volatile.
Yeah.
And so when you're choosing a staking amount to stay consistent, you can't try to then gauge, well, what will the market value be, and should we adjust it because it goes up or adjust it because it goes down, or because who knows what's going to happen.
Yeah, doesn't make sense.
That is the nature of crypto. It's volatile. So the number was proposed, it was accepted by the community, and we just have to move on. Now, having said that, there are a number of staking providers that have risen up and basically created this ecosystem to give
everyone a chance.
Who folks who may not have the full staking amount, but they do want to participate because they believe in the network. They provide pooling options. Now, I just want to say that these staking providers, they are not affiliated or associated with Helium. We're happy that they exist, but we aren't partnering with them. There's no agreements with them. There's no special favors for them. Yeah. From our perspective, they are just other validator hosts or facilitating people to become validator hosts.
So the system is simple. Anyone, no matter how they organize themselves, who has 10K in one wallet and sets up the software and the server with the right specifications, then you're good to go. And so it's basically people in the community, just like I can say right now to you guys, let's make a validator node, and then you'll have to trust me specifically because I will have the keys of that wallet, and you'll have to trust me with the responsibility to put it in in the validator and be fair to you guys. So keep that in mind. That's the situation that you're choosing for. The good news is, if you check out my previous video, there are a bunch of options out there with a very wide range of possibilities. Some of them go as low as 1 HNT as minimum stake. So that makes it very accessible. It also allows you to manage your risk. If you want to stake more, then you can choose different validator nodes and spread out your risk that way. So I recommend checking that out. But then at least, like you already said, there are options out there. If you don't have 10K, you can even start with as low as 1 HNT. So that's definitely nice to see.
And so that's fantastic that the community and the ecosystem has sprung up to provide these options. But I just want to remind folks, make sure that you do your homework, right? Make sure that you really vet out these different options, right? And again, this is something that is independent of Helium. Like, we're happy, obviously, that these options are available, but we're not. There's no
screening. There is no seal of approval. Literally everyone can do this. You have to install the software, make a wallet, and then ask other people to send money to your wallet. So keep that in mind and be very aware of this. And like you said, do your homework. That's it.
Right. That's right. And so the last thing I'll say about this 10,000 amount, we were, there's some noise, and we thought, well, I guess let's see what will happen. If it's really that much of a barrier, then we will expect that people just won't participate, and we won't get validator nodes.
Yeah.
And if that happens, then we really need to. Maybe we do an amendment to the HIP or what have you, but I'm just looking now. And,
I was about to say, tell me what happened.
There's 853 validators that have staked. So
that's impressive, yeah.
So a total of over 8 million HNT. So we're very happy with the size of the pool and the diversity of the pool.
Yes, that was my next question. How is it looking? Is it like a few players, or is it a nice mix of those pooling options out there, which means it's even more diversified in a way, or is it still a bit centralized? Or, yeah, it's the wrong word, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I mean, so one of the benefits of participating is that, as we said, anybody can participate. There's no applying to Helium, hey, can I be a validator and fill out this form? And there's nothing like that.
No KYC, nothing. Just make the wallet, install the software, good to go.
Because from our perspective, you are contributing to the network, you are hosting validator software, and you'll earn rewards, right? HNT rewards, and that's it. So basically, we have pretty much the same insight as anybody does when, by going to the beta explorer that shows all the validators. So you can see,
you just see wallets,
the validators, and you can, if we know if the location is known, it will show it. But yeah, we don't have any database or special insight into who's doing that, because it's all on the blockchain. It's all transparent.
Okay. Then, of course, going from there, let's just dive a little bit deeper into what will the validator update do for the network, just in general. Yeah.
So great question. I think there's a kind of a macro response and a micro one, right? So the macro response is, as we said, the network is growing at really a fantastic rate, right? Okay, now I'm looking, there's going to be 74,000 hotspots before the end of the day, right? And it looks like, give or take, the network has been adding over 1,000 nodes per day on a daily basis. And this is under situations where the supply chain have suffered constraints and chip shortages and COVID and all this stuff, right? Despite all that, there's still huge participation and a big backlog of orders. So in order for the network to continue to scale, it needs that foundational piece, that blockchain, to be running very smoothly.
Mm-hmm.
And so validators, having that number of validators, increasing the size of the consensus group, having machines that are not only have really strong network connections, but also computation power, like we mentioned, that's going to allow the blockchain to be a lot more consistent and steady. So blocks will be a lot more, you'll see the times be very smooth.
Mm-hmm.
Also the consensus group and the election times. So that's like on overall network level. On a micro level, or from a hotspot owner perspective, the sync times of hotspots should improve quite a bit. So in the short term, they will improve, and we'll see more stability there as well.
If we're speaking in orders of magnitude, can we now say, for example, we're hitting 4 days that will drop back to 2 days? Or is it not that big of a, or is it, it remains to be seen?
It remains to be seen, because, the data that we have so far is from testnet.
Mm-hmm.
And we've gotten a lot of data over the months that we ran these testnet validators,
Mm-hmm.
but testnet is testnet. It's not the real thing,
Yeah.
right? And so we can kind of extrapolate, and we can make some fairly educated predictions about what will happen. But mainnet is mainnet.
So if we have to say, worst case scenario, it will not take longer, and in best case scenario, we're looking at maybe half the time that we're doing now. Maybe, whatever. Or is that even too rough of an estimate?
Well, so I think it's very hard to make an estimate on the improvements, but we can definitely say there will be improvement.
You'll notice. Let's just say it that way. It's not a minor improvement. It will be noticeable. Okay. What do we have next? The returns, of course. We have a nice little table on the website. If I understand correctly, it really starts to flatten off at, I think, 35%. Let me open it up. So is that something that people can count on, is maybe a big word, on that table, or is it just to give you a really rough idea? Because right now I think if we have 800 hotspots, and we're now at that 45% rate, and then the little graph on the website, it stops at 36. So can we assume right now, of course, we had exponential growth of people who are already in network, who have gathered a lot of HNT. So I think they jumped on it because they want to have the maximum amount of rewards available. So I assume we will not continue adding validators at the same rate that we're now. It will slow down at some point.
I mean, it's up to the market.
Yeah, of course.
People who want to make a decision and stake. But yeah, I think, like many things, if you have a certain amount of HNT and you're looking to kind of weigh the pros and cons of, do I stake it and earn this return, or do I keep it liquid because maybe I want to use it for something else, right? Don't know, but it's hard to predict about what the end number will be, and again, it's just market conditions will dictate whether individuals think it's a good idea to continue staking or not.
Because of course, in the beginning when you look at the graph, we're like, wow, 360, very nice, and then now we are already at 45%, which of course speaks to the success of the network and the confidence that people have in the network. Because do keep in mind, you're locking it up more or less for 5 months, roughly, because that's the cooldown period. So everybody keep that in mind. So if you see how many HNT has been staked already, that is definitely a vote of confidence, because you're basically saying 5 months in the crypto space. It's a lifetime. So that's definitely a commitment and a show on faith in the project.
Yeah, Brent, thank you for raising that. It's a great point. And I'm sure we would have covered it later, but yeah, so there is a cooldown period. So the way it works is, so I stake my validator node. The rewards that I earn are not locked up. I will see rewards from my validator immediately, assuming that I'm in consensus group and I'm doing the work.
Basically, each block, as soon as they are given out, they arrive in the wallet.
Yep.
Good to go.
Very similar to what you'd expect with hotspots, right? Same idea. So validator rewards will show up in the same wallet that you used to stake the validator, right? Now, if you feel that, I don't want to participate anymore, okay, and I want to unstake. So if you unstake, you can start the process. You start unstaking, and as you mentioned, there is a 5-month cooldown period where you have to wait to get your original stake back, and you're not earning rewards during that cooldown period of time as well.
Now we're on the topic of cooldown.
Sure.
Explain why. Why did you build in the cooldown period?
So this just goes back to really looking at folks in the community who were serious about the long-term growth and stability of the network. So we wanted community members who were committed to the network. Right?
Okay.
We didn't want folks who were just kind of jumping in and out, and staking, unstaking, and potentially causing disruption because validators were going up and down, and so that potentially could have had an impact with the blockchain and would have impacted the stability that
Yes,
that's very important. Right?
I think that indeed is crucial. If suddenly because Bitcoin is going down, or we had some bad news, let's just assume that thousands of businesses are using the network, and then suddenly because Bitcoin goes down, everybody jumps ship and starts selling HNT, and then the network reliability goes down. That would be insane.
That's right.
Yeah.
So and remember, if the stability of the network is impacted, then the delivery of the rewards is also impacted as well. So so it ends up hurting everybody. So that was a reason for the cooldown period and the length. Again, this is something that was originally proposed with HIP 25, and it was accepted, and so that's the number that we've chosen. Now there are options, right? So there is the ability to transfer stake to another wallet. So Brent, if you were a validator and for whatever reason you needed to access your stake, but you couldn't wait, the 5 months.
That is interesting.
You could find someone else who was wanting to take on your stake. You guys would do whatever negotiation you needed to do and create the trust, but then you could transfer that stake to another wallet.
And that is really a built-in function into the Helium blockchain. So there's no, that can't go wrong. If as soon as you perform a function, it will be executed on the blockchain. It's built in. Okay, that is really, really nice. You have to transfer the full thing, or you can say, I'm just transferring 30% of the 10K to that one, then to that one.
No.
Okay, so
full
it's the
full
okay.
Thing. Yeah. So right now we're in the staking phase. Next Wednesday, July 7th, we'll actually start the process to activate validators to go on mainnet. And at that time, the other staking features will be available, like unstaking, transferring stake as well. Something else I want to mention, we've seen questions about, what happens if my validator node blows up or there's something wrong with it? Is my stake gone, right? And no, it's not. Your stake is still there. if your server, whatever, was burned up in a fire, who knows, right?
Worst case, yeah.
What you could do is, all you need to do is just spin up another validator node, hopefully on a better server that won't burn down, and then you just transfer that stake to that other validator node within the same wallet.
And this is also just a software package that you can
That's right.
install and on the server and just run it.
You just go through the process again in terms of spinning up a validator node, and then you just transfer the stake to that node.
Okay, cool. When it comes to running validators, is there anything oriented to supporting the pooling in the future, or is this something that people can? I assume anyone can create a HIP proposal and maybe propose features on that as well, because would be the main challenge for me in participating in a pool and even running my own pool is the trust factor. Because right now we're at $13, whatever. It's a significant amount to have that on a server. If the bull market continues, it will be even more. And honestly, I would be very nervous running a server with that value.
Sure.
And I can imagine that people are like, we have to trust somebody that we don't know. And in that sense, if you would run a DAO, for example, then everything is defined. I don't even need to have the keys. There is no discussion possible. And then you could just run it that way, in a trustless way. So that's something in my mind. If I would ever do a HIP proposal, this would be in there, because that would really help that aspect of running a node.
Yeah. So to go back to your original question, HIP proposals, yes, anyone can provide can submit a proposal. Obviously, there's a process and a number of a certain amount of content, and I think they're even making a code requirement, or I haven't seen what the recent requirements are for HIP proposals, but they're trying to achieve a balance of making sure that just the proposals that they get in are serious and well thought out.
Yeah, not just one-liner ideas.
That's right.
Yeah.
Hey, how come why don't you guys have smart contracts on
Click
on the blockchain or something? Yeah, right. So there is a number of sections that need to be filled out, and again, the more thought that goes into it,
the higher the chance
likelihood that it's going to be actually discussed and then discussed and potentially approved or not. So, but yeah, that's the HIP proposal.
So right now there's nothing like that on the table yet. So if somebody is watching and thinks that has value and really wants to put in the time, then I'll just put a link to where they can do it in the description of the video, and then they can check it out. But right now, as far as you know, there's nobody working on that, or there's no proposal in that direction yet.
Not last time I've checked. I don't know some recent ones, but again, we for this type of thing, it will be interesting to see the market reception and the providers who are providing that feature functionality, because we have to be we've created a platform for these service staking providers to build on and add this additional features and functionality. And so those ecosystem players have invested time and effort and cost into adding these additional features and capabilities. And so if Helium suddenly said, hey, you know what, we're just going to add this, it could be a tricky situation for those staking providers. So it doesn't mean that we wouldn't do it, because if it was the right thing to do and overwhelming the community said, yes, you need to do that, we want you to do that. But it's just some other considerations that we need to take into account.
Yeah, you don't want to jump from A to B to C and then back to A and every month. Yeah. and piss off everyone.
That's right. That's right.
Got it. Is there a maximum number of validators, or can it just go on?
There's no cap for the number of validators.
Okay.
Again, we feel what's going to happen is it's going to be dictated by market forces.
Mm-hmm.
And so when community folks feel that, you know, the return just isn't there, then you know, people will stop. But there's no technical cap on the number.
Okay, because yeah, definitely right now, I know 360% was huge, and yes, it has gone down quickly, but you see the curve flattening off quickly as well. And let's just be honest, we're still looking at 30%. Then for the people out there, just quickly go over, hey, I have 10k HNT, or I have a bunch of friends who have been mining for a few months. We want to set up a node. What's the basic rundown again? So what do you need? What do you suggest? Of course, the 10k you need it. Just go over that quickly to give them an idea if they want to research it any further. The requirements, basically, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm hesitating because not that we don't want people to participate, right? We absolutely do, but there's obviously the staking amount that's needed, but there's also a technical level that folks should be at if they want to host this node, right? So they should be very comfortable using, for example, Linux, and using the command line, because there's no graphical user interface, right? Like it's all command line, and
basically, I think if you're comfortable with Linux, you're automatically, I think, used to doing command line work.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Hopefully, yes. But and in addition to that, you need to have the right environment. Like this would not be something suitable that you'd say, well, I've got this extra server laying around in my house. I'll just spin it up and you know, let's go for it, right? Go guys. No, because again, even if the server met the memory, the storage, the computation, CPU capabilities, likely they don't have a great pipe going into their home, right? Likely it's just a home internet connection, and that's not going to be great. But the overall process is very straightforward. All you do is you get access to the validator software, which is on GitHub, so anybody can go and download it, so that you can build it. There's a Docker package, and then there's just like the raw software that you need to build. So you spin up the validator node. You also would, let's say that you're starting from scratch, like brand new user. Once you download the validator node, it will start syncing to the blockchain. We have snapshots, so you're not having to do the whole 900,000 blocks. Usually our snapshots are every, I think 720 blocks or something like that. So it's not too terrible. And then you would download the wallet. So this isn't the phone wallet that people are used to on their phone. It is a piece of software that you would also run, whether it's terminal or what have you. So it's a command line interface version of the wallet. You could also use Ledger. So
that's good. Yeah.
The Ledger hardware wallet, it's not officially supported by Ledger, but you have to go into developer mode and find the application, and but you get the peer address from the validator. So there's a command that you type in and you get that peer address. And then with the wallet, after you set it up, you have to create a password for the wallet and make sure that you write that password down. You're very
protected with your life.
That's right, because there is no, forgot password command or link, there's nobody keeping your password in a database somewhere.
Yeah,
right?
no second tries.
So, that's right. So please, if you're doing this, make sure that you're very clear in terms of what your password is, and you back it up, and you write it down, and you keep it with your passports or whatever process you have, right? Because if you forget that or you lose it, then it's
gone.
Yeah, you can't. So I go into my wallet, I create a new wallet, I put in my password, and then I just write out a state command. So this is using CLI. You write a state command, you include the peer address of the validator, and you put the 10,000 amount. You probably want to test it, make sure everything's okay. Then you put the commit tag or whatever, and then
good to go.
You're good to go.
So, if you were thinking to sum it up, I did set up one in the testnet. I do have an IT background, so keep that in mind. If you have an IT background, you know something about Linux, then setting it up is, let's just say you guys did a good job. You do it within 15 minutes if you know what you're doing.
Right.
So let's basically say that the guideline is, if you're somebody who has server experience in the Linux environment, you'll be able to do this. Keep in mind, if you don't and you mess around, you will probably get there, but please keep in mind you're talking about a whole bunch of money. So if you're not comfortable securing a server and keeping it up to date with so much money in there, keep that in mind also. It doesn't mean if you are successful in installing the software that you are capable of running a server with such a responsibility. So
that's right.
Please make sure you are experienced in cyber and security and everything that has to do with servers before you even decide or think about doing this. And then next to that, make sure that the connection is not good. It has to be great. It has to be business grade connection, not home connection, even if you think you have a good connection.
Yeah. And yeah, that's right. And like very strong symmetrical, right? So both download and upload is very good. I mean, obviously there are some people that do have an IT background like yourself.
Mm-hmm.
They are very comfortable. They have, a really beefy server, and they have whatever fiber into their house, and it's great. Fine. Go for it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Again, there's no application process or anything. Anyone can do this. Just be aware that it's not set it and forget it. There is also, we're pushing updates to the validator node, so it has to be updated on a regular basis. And there is we haven't gone into it, but there isn't slashing, but there are penalties.
Okay.
And so if your validator node is not performing, or somehow it has impacted the consensus group, then it will be penalized. And what it means is penalties will either force you out of the consensus group sooner or prevent you from joining the consensus group over a certain amount of time. If you're penalized, doesn't mean that you're
blacklisted
forever blacklisted. Right. But depending on the severity of what happened, your penalty may prevent you from participating in the consensus group for an extended period of time, right? It really depends on whether it's a performance penalty, whether it was related to interfering with creating blocks, right? That would be very, very serious. But what I'm trying to say is there are consequences if you do
to doing half a job,
but you don't stay on top of it, and that's why even people who have the technical skills, they're just like, look, I want somebody who is focusing on this all the time, and they have a DevOps experience and all that stuff, right? I'm not saying that everybody should go use a staking provider, but I am saying that this is a reason why there are so many stake providers that have come up, and why I believe they're pretty successful. Not just for Helium, but
and why people even with 10K HNT decide not to do it themselves.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And even if they have the technical skills, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, this isn't something that I want to continue to focus on. It's I'm okay with outsourcing it, and
it's a responsibility.
That's right.
It's a big responsibility.
And I don't have to worry about paying Amazon or DigitalOcean or whoever for hosting service, right? All that is taken care of. So.
Nope, makes sense. Then I think we covered it, but just to make everything very clear, I am mining with my hotspots right now.
Okay.
The mainnet validators get launched. What will change?
To be honest, the sync times for hotspots should improve, as we mentioned. The actual block times should be a lot more consistent. The consensus group election times and consensus group work should be very consistent and stable.
How does this? Yeah, sorry. Oh, yeah. This results in.
So that results in rewards getting distributed more consistently as well.
Got it.
Which I think is probably what everybody.
Yes.
Yeah. So if block times are more consistent, consensus group work is more consistent as well. Rewards will get distributed on a more consistent basis.
Okay, perfectly. And then the only thing when it comes to income, so you have a more stable flow of HNT income from your miner. The only quote-unquote downside for a miner individually is that now even the chance of getting selected for a consensus group was going down along with the network growth. So your chances were decreasing significantly already. The only difference is right now it is 0 for that portion. But again, keep in mind, 95, 99% of the time, you are not in a consensus group. You're not getting those rewards anyway. So don't worry too much. Normally, in a normal week, you will see no difference. I think that's a good conclusion.
Yeah. So the chance of you landing in the consensus group and earning that 6%, I just looked at the calculator. So we're at 73,000. We're almost at 74,000 hotspots. And so the chance of you actually making into the consensus group is 0.00001. So that's
there you go.
Right?
Yeah.
But there is a very, very, very tiny chance, but that is going to go even smaller as hotspots continue to get added to the network. So that's one. But the upside of validators, again, as we said, block time is going to be more consistent. The consensus group is going to be more consistent, and so rewards will actually be distributed on a more consistent basis. So it's very likely that will make up for any chance that you would have potentially have gotten into the validator group, right? So you're seeing a more consistent improvement overall versus maybe winning a lottery ticket.
Yeah, because that was basically the situation. And keep in mind what you can do is, again, if you're comfortable with it, you can still, for example, decide on a weekly basis, monthly basis, to take 10%, 5%, whatever of your HNT and put it into a staking pool and then earn a percentage on that as well consistently, rather than hoping for that lottery ticket. So that is a strategy that you can apply, and then even you will have, especially in the upcoming months, you will have better returns than waiting for a lottery ticket. So that is something you can think of if you were worried of getting decreased rewards. So don't worry.
A lottery ticket was increasingly decreasing odds.
Yeah, because we'll be adding another 100, 200,000 hotspots this year. So you can imagine how that percentage will go down even further. Good. Hope everybody is excited if you made it this far in the interview.
Thank you.
So if they are really aching to see the results of this new improvement, when can we expect the activation?
Yeah, thank you. So this Wednesday, July 7th, so 6 days from now. We've got a countdown, a day countdown timer on the website. But 6 days from now, we will start the process to activate validators.
Okay, cool. So a little online countdown party.
Yeah, that's right.
And then, of course, we have the light hotspots. They were depending on the validator update, if I'm not mistaken. So how will that translate? When will they start getting rewards? I don't think anyone has light hotspot yet. The pre-orders are open, but
so validators, in addition to the allowing the network to scale out and the consistency of blocks and consensus group work, it is also enabling something called light hotspots. And so light hotspots in the future, validators will remove the need to have to sync and eventually issue challenges. So this is really exciting because what it's going to do is it's going to enable a number of hotspots that are maybe not as less expensive to do, like either just data transfer or mining as well. So for proof of coverage. So we are if you go to docs, actually, Bram, what I'll do is I'll send you the link, and it's got a number of milestones for light hotspots, and what we envision validators is going to help enable by moving this work off each individual hotspot and onto these validator nodes.
If I can read between the lines, you'll actually have the option to create a piece of hardware that only does data. Or you always have to have the full transfer. Yeah, so you can really have data transfer hotspots, and then you can have hotspots that have the additional rewards, or like the proof of coverage and
yeah. So there's a number of milestones that for this light hotspot, and at a certain milestone there will be regular hotspots, there will be light hotspots, and that are both earning HNT for proof of coverage and data transfer, and then there will be what's called a data-only hotspot, which will also allow owners to earn HNT for data transfer.
Okay, cool. So there will actually be a third option in that list. I didn't know. I thought it was like we're going to create the light hotspots. It will be the regular hotspot minus the consensus mechanism, but there will be then a third one.
I will share a link with you, Brand, that you can share with your audience, and they can go through and see the different milestones and the different type of hotspots. Cool.
Then what's the best place to learn more about validators? Well, that's of course the website. So yeah, I'll put the links to the documentation section, to the main webpage. I will give you some general information, and then I'll definitely put that milestone link in there as well for the there you go. So the validator link as well. So we went over. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, go.
Sorry, just so for validators, obviously we have a very thriving and growing Discord community. And so if you're interested in validators or you're already hosting validators, there's two channels. I know Discord, it kind of gets crazy with the number of channels, but there's two main channels that you want to pay attention to. The first one is validator announcements. So validators/announcements. So anytime that there is an update, say, to the software or some sort of announcement that we want to make that's specifically to validators, we will be adding it there.
Okay, so yeah, that's something. If you're on a node, check it definitely every week at the least.
Yeah, and then the other channel is just like validators, and that's where you've got a whole community talking about their validator nodes and how to optimize and what their experience is and all that stuff.
I think it's just in general a good tip. The Discord community of Helium is huge. You have so many different segments and so many people active on there on a daily basis. So if you got any questions and you want to have some information quickly, definitely check it out. Or you just want to have a good idea of what's going on in the community, even hip proposals. You have different different channels for it, and you can interact with the community that way and get involved. So it's definitely a really good tip.
Yeah, there's a lot of very knowledgeable people that are in the community. They're helpful. Obviously, there's a number of moderators, and then Helium employees are also dipping in and checking out posts. And even doing like searches on Discord, like if you have a question,
90% certain somebody asked it.
You can do a search and it'll come up. And also check out pinned messages. So the community does a pretty good job of, this is good information, let's pin it.
Yep.
So checking out pinned messages before you ask questions would also be a good idea.
Okay, cool. I know we're getting a little bit over time. I don't know if you have a few more minutes for the community questions. I have a few. I will run through them. Thanks.
For you, of course.
Thanks. So Revolver, he asked 3 questions at once. So first of all, is there a limit to how many miners there will be ever? I think that's an easy one.
We don't anticipate a limit.
No.
We're trying to make this network global and robust and dense. So
give the best coverage possible. So I think everybody can imagine the world is a huge place. It makes no sense to put a number on it. There is always room for more.
And again, this is related to the market, right? If you take a look and see that, wow, maybe my city is pretty dense, but actually where my parents live, it's pretty rural and there's still a lot of opportunities. Instead of putting in a dense area, maybe I'll put in the rural area.
And I guess just in general, putting quote unquote coverage everywhere will open up the platform to so much more development opportunities. Because the bigger it is, the more you can do.
That's right. And this is a great point. I'm glad you brought it up. Once coverage and the density reaches a certain level, you will see like the amount of usage will also increase. And so the value of the network will increase because you have all this usage. And so even though your pie may be getting smaller, but like the quality of the pie is much better, if I can use that metaphor, right? I would urge folks to read a very good article written by one of our investors called the Helium Flywheel, and I'll post a link, Bren. But that really talks about, what does the world look like when Helium and the network, the density is at a certain level in terms of usage, because remember, hotspots don't just get rewarded for coverage; they also get rewarded for usage. So that's also, a very important piece. Yeah,
I really think that is something that people have to realize, is that we're building a network. We're not just mining HNT. The idea is to create an awesome network, and the better the quality is. First of all, HNT represents the quality of the network. So if the quality goes up and you help build this network, then you're helping increase the value of the token. So keep that in mind. And of course, nobody was using or buying a cell phone if they didn't have any reception in their city. It's that simple. Just keep that in mind. Think about the cell phone. So if we are now building a network that every business can use, then business will start using it, and then the network will become more valuable, and then you will get data rewards. And this is something that all of us, that every single miner can work on. You can decide and see, you start mapping the coverage. If your entire city has coverage, good news, start contacting local businesses and introduce the idea. Sign up for the Helium newsletter. You will see the businesses that they're partnering up with, what kind of technologies that are being built on the Helium network, and then you can start thinking, hey, who is around here, which business can use this technology, and bring those things together, and this will benefit everybody, both the business, both you.
Yeah, it's a fantastic point, and I really believe we're in the early days, right? You're much younger than me, but I remember a time when there wasn't an internet.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was very hard for businesses to, like, during that transition period, it was very hard for businesses to wrap their head around, why do I need this internet thing? I've got mail. I can just mail out letters. I've got flyers. I've got brochures. I
It
can
works.
advertise in the newspaper. Why do I need this crazy network of networks?
Uh-huh.
And as we've all seen, it's become critical infrastructure for a business.
Mm-hmm.
And I really believe that we're in a similar type of situation for the Internet of Things. Once businesses can wrap their head around about how they can be so much more efficient, have so much more transparency and insight into their business, it will be similar. They'll be like, how did we run a business
Without it?
before we had this visibility? We had to send people out with clipboards, or we had to guess in terms of when we had to pick up stuff, or like, why were we doing that?
Yeah.
So I 100% agree with you, Brent.
So I definitely think I should read the article as well. I assume it's about the same and the same topic, which will give you the entire vision of Helium, where it can really go to. And I think then people will understand what the potential is of the project.
Yeah. That's right.
Then question 2, he is of course a little bit disappointed with the wait times of the current suppliers. I hope you don't mind if I jump in. You guys allow hardware manufacturers to sign up and show the hardware that they want to make to support the Helium network. So this is, I guess, again, a community thing. Everybody can apply. Of course, everybody is a big word, but if you are a hardware manufacturer and you can produce these products and you can meet a certain quality criteria, then you can apply. Of course, setting up production line, people have to keep it in mind. First of all, due to Corona, there is a limited supply in chips in general. That's an issue. Setting up an entirely new production line, you don't do it in a week. It's that simple. Then you have to do production. It will take 6 to 8 weeks, maybe more, once it's set up. And then you still have to ship it. It's again at least 1 month, and you have crazy shipping prices right now. So I can imagine that they're waiting for an acceptable price for a container, rather than just saying, here, I'm paying $10,000 for a container. So, and even then, it will take at least a month. And then if you're lucky, another week to pass customs. So people have to realize you can't just say we need more helium miners. Let's just get that done, and then next month we'll be up and running with another 100,000 miners. So yeah, if you want to add something else to that, I assume you're continuously working on adding and onboarding new manufacturers.
So there is a proposal called HIP-19. Mm-hmm. And what HIP-19 does is it allows hardware manufacturers to go through the process of, choosing to whether they want to participate and build out these hotspots or gateways that will be compatible with the network. Now, there's a team in the DY, the Decentralized Wireless Alliance. So they are the ones who, this foundation, they're the ones who will actually vet not just HIP-19, but also all the HIP proposals, right? So this is actually an Alliance Foundation process that it needs to go through, not a Helium Inc. process.
Okay.
So they are the ones that will go through, they will vet, which hardware manufacturers and are good, and there'll be a whole community process around that. So HIP-19, if people are curious about how hardware manufacturers actually get added to the list, so to speak, that's the way they do it. And again, it's something that this foundation has a process we're going through. I believe that they've increased the folks looking at it, and they've got a technical council, so they've evolved the process as more manufacturers want to come online and do this. But just to go back what you were saying.
Plus, the foundation is external from Helium. So this is also something that I know sometimes people can get frustrated, and I understand, and especially if the market is going down, we are all a little bit more on edge. So it is them who will vet all the manufacturers, make sure that they meet the quality standards. and also people, I know some people were like angry. It's like, it's taking too long. They're just driving up the price, blah, blah, blah. This is not the case. As you can, if you want, we'll put the links in the description. You can check it out. You can see how it works.
Right.
And it's, if the manufacturer wants to apply and the quality is good enough, and we've seen multiple being added already, then they can be added. So it's not that you guys said, Helium, oh no, we're going to work with this one, and then we'll control the market. This is not what's going on. It just takes time to approve, and then it takes time for the companies to set up the whole process. It's that simple. We're talking about months. And then you need the components. It's also something, it's a global issue right now.
Hardware is hard.
Yeah.
And that's, even though, in the early days, we know because we actually did the first
ones themselves, yeah.
Right? And we said, look, this is not where our core competence is. Also, it's not good to have like us as a bottleneck for a decentralized network. So let's get the ecosystem involved and people who really know what they're doing to make these. But yeah, it is like the supply chain, the logistics, the federal regulations that you need to pass, and components and all this stuff. Like you said, is challenging. It's not easy. And I'm personally glad Helium is focusing on other things and letting the other the ecosystem handle that piece.
Which is good, because otherwise you would be full-time working on customer support and the technical and supply issues. So it's definitely good.
And also it would just, we don't want to be like the only on-ramp to the network, right? That's not good. Like, this is a decentralized network. It should be able to continue and operate freely even without, Helium.
Oh yeah, maybe that's interesting as well. There is no specific hardware, in a sense that there is no proprietary Helium hardware. You just have existing hardware that everybody, quote unquote, has access to. You just have to make sure that they have the software installed and a valid key. That's it. So I think that is also very important to know. There are no components that they have to buy from you. There are no fees that they have to. It's none of that. It's existing hardware that was there already. Perfect example is Rack Wireless. They were building IoT devices long before Helium came along, and they just decided to partner up with you guys and just add value to the network by making one of their miners, one of their gateways ready for the Helium network. I think that's the situation.
Right. There's no, yes, it's a decentralized network, but you have to buy this specific proprietary component from Helium. No, there's nothing like that.
Okay, good. Then his last question, faster syncing, which we'll be fixing with the Validator update. So
I think it should definitely improve for sure after Validators are activated.
Good. Then we have Andre. Difference between partial staking and just mining individually, and how nodes will be affected after the halving. So I think those are a bunch of things mixed into one. So I think it's very important to realize that staking is not mining. Which, if you're staking, then you're getting the consensus rewards, which is 6% of the total reward block. That is what you're doing. And if you're mining and supporting everything else. So there are a bunch of different rewards. That's what you're doing with mining. And if you're staking, you're going for that 6%. Then when it comes to the halving, go. What does it mean for validator nodes? I think the same.
It's nothing unique for validator nodes. It's across the network. So the halving, which is scheduled for August 1st, basically the amount of rewards is going to be reduce by half, and so that is across the board. That's not just for hotspots miners or validators. That's for everything.
Okay. Then in general, I assume in August the literally the rewards will just go down. And the desired effect, of course, is that the demand will at least stay the same for the HNT token, preferably go up quickly as well, because the quality of the network is growing, data usage is growing, and so forth, which should then result into an increase in price. So I think in the immediate short term, it will mean a little decrease in your returns, but we can assume, and we have seen this with Bitcoin halving and everything else, so keep that in mind. It should result, if the market, which we can't predict, but responds logically, then the price should go up, and there will be a nice balance, or it will balance itself out. That's the assumption with halvings, I think.
Yeah, I'm not going to comment on the...
No, of course, but...
I'm going to focus on the halving. And again, this is not something unique to Helium. Like, other blockchain projects have gone through this process. And
yes.
So if you're curious or nervous, I would urge you to research and look at what the impact was of halving on other blockchain projects.
Okay, perfect. Then I got two more. So one from Invest50. Maybe Helium can somehow support us. 10 guys created a note. He's talking about store our identity or document. Hold on. So maybe some kind of deposit function for the Validator wallet. I think that it is something that I touched on. So basically, I think Invest50, I hope I understand your question correctly. You're aiming at having some pooling functions and help that aspect. So right now it's not in there. It is put the 10k in there. There is a function to transfer your stake, your 10k stake, to another wallet, so you personally don't have to wait with a 5-month cooldown. Of course, how you arrange it with the other wallet owner, that's your thing. If he's willing to give you the same amount in your wallet instantly, then you're happy. But there is a transfer function, but it's for a total amount. We will not be able to say, I'm going to transfer 100 HNT, it's everything or nothing. Other than that, there are no special functions in there to manage a pool. So sadly, it's not in there, but if you are technical and you have a good idea on how you could do it, you can maybe look into how to apply for a proposal and then go that route.
Or research staking providers in the community that offer that pooling.
The function already, yeah. I think there are different staking providers that offer both the full service. If you have the 10k, if you're indeed, like you say, with 10 guys, you can use their service to run your node, especially if you know each other. I think that would be a really, really good option. And if you don't know each other or you don't have the 10k, just go for one of the options. Again, do your research first. You have to trust the people that you give your HNT to, because you're really giving it to them. And then go that route as well. So I think those are the options for you. And yeah, that's the last part of his question. Or maybe they know a company which can help us lock the HNT for your validated node. So yeah, there we go. That is the solution. I will put a link in the description of this video as well that will give you the list of all the known companies or projects that are working on a validator service. Then the last one is from Inder. I hope I'm saying that correctly. HNT mining is not that good in India. I checked the miner details and he was mining 1 HNT per month, which is very low. Should I buy? Yeah, of course, you cannot say what you should invest in, yes or no. But I think for me, this is an easy one. If he's just mining 1 HNT per month, he is probably flying solo. And he's a lone wolf. It is almost impossible to mine just 1 HNT per month if you are connecting to different miners and have a good connection, and if you're online the entire time. So I don't think this is the example that you found in there is not the best example of what you can expect. It has nothing to do with the location. I think it has to do something with specifically this miner and the setup that he's in. I don't know if there's something that you can add to that as well.
Yeah, I don't know the current situation. I would agree with you, Bren, that this isn't a regional issue. It's more about his or her specific situation. So as we mentioned, if they are a lone wolf and they don't see other hotspots around, then yes, it will be very challenging for them to earn more rewards. What I would say is probably go jump in the Discord community. There's probably a lot of other folks who are
There's one specifically for India. I checked it out. So there's a specifically for India. There's a section. There's a bunch of people in there. I would, like you say, suggest go there, ask some questions, and see what they are using. And there must be some people who are successful in India as well. Personally,
maybe they've added an antenna. Maybe they group together and say, "Hey, let's coordinate." So there's options.
Okay, cool. That's it for all the questions that I have. I think we we have had a nice conversation. Sorry it took so long. I went 20 minutes over time, but definitely thank you for taking the time. Is there some last words you want to give to the audience?
Just first of all, Bren, thank you very much for giving us this opportunity to share some information with your users, listeners, your platform, your community. Really appreciate it. And so the validator will activate Wednesday, July 7th. So we will start the process when validators will go live. And look, if this is something that you're interested in because you believe in the network and you're committed to, the potential of what this can become, then by all means, participate. If you're on the fence and you think, it's a lot and I'm not really sure, then, it's just, do it for you. And, any participation in the network, we're really happy and we feel very fortunate that we have such a great community that's backing us.
Plus, maybe one last note. If you just like the project, you're not technical or you're not comfortable buying hardware and stuff like that, you can also just buy the token and invest and show your support in the project that way. Of course, these are my words. I'm just going over all the options. You can get involved in a wide range of ways in the Helium network. And even if you see that there is a network up and running locally, again, think about maybe how you can support local businesses and just get into IoT in general and into that mindset. Maybe that's a good way just to get started and get a feel of what it could become before you jump in and buy hardware and do all these kinds of investments.
Yeah, I think like looking at identifying use cases, and if you are like more business or entrepreneurial and you think, wow, maybe if we have certain sensors that could identify like fill levels for garbage, this would be a great thing for the community, because now we don't have to wait. If when garbage is overflowing, there will be a signal that gets sent out and the garbage folks can come, or that's just one of or tracking. Like we saw these guys, this company called Barnacle, that they are using trackers with mailing whatever items you want. Another company called Nowie that is using it for smart water detection and working with commercial landlords. So
there's a whole business case.
This is the time to really put your creative hat on and think, look, if there's an opportunity where people are still using clipboards or having sent out and to manually check something, which is expensive and takes a lot of time. Once you maybe start shifting the way you look at things, you'll start to identify a lot of opportunities, and who knows where that could lead you.
Okay, cool. I think that is something people have to keep in mind. There is so much more than just mining and investing in a token and this and that. You can really build on a new network. And you can go as crazy as you want. Good. I think that's a nice note to finish up this interview. So thanks again, everybody. Thanks for watching. Maybe if you like and you think it's a good idea, I could do a short live stream with the countdown. So if you have any questions then I can still try and answer them during the countdown. So if you think that's a good idea, be sure to post a comment and then don't forget to like this video. Check out all the links in the bio. And then if you have any questions left, I suggest going to the Discord. And for some reason, if you couldn't find the answer, you can still send me an email. And then worst case, I will bother you with the question, and then we'll get you an answer. So everybody, thanks again for watching. Dal, thanks for spending so much time on the interview. And then hopefully we'll get to talk on the next update.
For sure, Brent. Thanks a lot, and
Thanks.
keep in touch.
Will do. Bye.
Take care.